You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, January 14th, Monday night, 5:32. And I'd like to have an approval of the meeting of November 19th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And now we move to the report of the chief.
I'm conveniently not ready. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back.
Happy New Year.
We will start with the ComStat report. And at the request of Commissioner Marcus, at the end of it, we have a overview of the calendar year.
Well, everyone else is doing it.
We're trendsetters here. We don't do what everybody else does. But,
that would be called rebels.
okay, so starting off as usual, we have our A squad. You can see the statistics. The calls for service on the A squad are a little bit higher, as well as all the other shifts, because it's a little bit of a longer period than we normally do. Moving to page 4, you can see the officer statistics with their citations and arrests. Cases of significance, we had a burglary at the Stop and Go convenience store on Harbor and Maple.
Took it literally.
I didn't look at it that way until you just mentioned it, but we'll go with that. Thanks for being so observant. So anyways, our officers did a good job. They saw the suspect vehicle on North Main Street in Cedar. They initiated a quick pursuit, which was self-terminated. Subsequently, State Police Troop F located stolen cash register drawer in Deep River. And they had a similar burglary that they were investigating. On page 6, you could see the initiatives of the A squad, including their radar assignments and traffic initiatives. They've really boosted up the target areas on the midnight shift, focusing on car break-ins and commercial burglaries. Moving on to page 9, you can see our day shift statistics. Day shift went down a little bit, believe it or not, in their calls. I'm sorry, went up for their calls for service. They flip-flopped the columns on me here. So during this time period, you could see that our high numbers were domestic violence and behavioral issues. Thefts from autos went down a little bit. Officer statistics are on page 10 for our B squad, and you can see our traffic squad enforcement on page 11. Cases of significance, theft of auto from Precision Motor on North Main Street. On West Main Street. It was a locked Lexus that they believe somebody was looking at it and possibly removed the interior or the guts of the key fob and later came back and stole a car. We had a fraud or a scam at Totucket Road where this is happening more frequent. I think this is the second or third one that we've had in a little while. So they get a phone call saying that your son or grandson or whoever it might be is in jail. We need bond money, but could you get it to us in gift cards from stores?
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So if anybody calls you and say that the relative has been arrested and there's a bond, and they want gift cards, that's a clue. best to just hang up the phone and call your family member and make sure that they're where they're supposed to be. We had a theft from an account of New Haven Scholarship Fund, $15,000. Co-signer was incarcerated. The suspect was incarcerated at the time. However, an investigation continues on that one.
Excuse me, Chief, may I interrupt just a moment?
Sure.
Before I forget, with permission of the board. You know these phone calls that everyone gets, we're going to extend your mortgage, we're going to do this and that. These crank phone calls. There's one that says Branford PD.
Oh, yeah.
And that is an that's something
I
serious.
brought that up before.
Did you? Okay.
Last year, maybe?
Oh, okay.
Branford PD.
Yeah, it's like a spoon.
And so you automatically pick up the phone, and it's someone trying to sell you a hula hoop or something,
Oh, okay.
No, they're looking for money.
Money, yeah.
And I told them when they called me, I said,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm on the
No-call
police
list.
commission, so I,
Yeah, some of those are like fraternal order of police. You get
Yes.
some organizations that'll call you up looking in.
But that isn't it, though.
Okay.
This is strictly commercial,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. by the
Okay.
way.
well, no, and
No, it's okay.
what they want really is a donation.
Yeah.
Just a
Right.
donation,
Right.
saying, and the Branford Police Department probably gets, what, $10 out of the 1,000 they collect?
No, it's not, it has nothing to do with the Branford.
Correct. Yeah. Typically, we don't get anything from those organizations that are soliciting. They lead you to believe that they are giving this money, and I've gotten some of them myself, and I've asked, well, how does this benefit local police? And they say, oh, well, they'll give you some sort of a line saying that it does, when in fact I know that we don't benefit from it at all. Typically, we don't do fundraisers in Branford unless we notify the community. We do that several ways. We might notify the community via our social media. And typically, what we've been doing to get away from the phone scam is it's not the police department that's doing the fundraiser. The union does a fundraiser, an annual fundraiser, and it'll be via a mailing that is sent out. So we understand,
For the
right?
vests.
But this is a misrepresentation of a governmental agency,
Right.
which is wrong.
Right.
Because it has nothing to do with it. And when you get on there, they don't say anything about the Branford Police Department.
Right.
They go into some other tangential.
Right.
And so, I mean, person gets a call, Branford PD, you're going to run to the phone.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Well, I'll continue here.
113.
So we had a couple thefts from auto, thefts from cars. A wallet was stolen from an unlocked vehicle on Montoya Circle. They tried to use the credit card online. We had another theft from Ferndale Condos. The handicap placard was missing. Theft from auto, advanced overhead doors on Flax Mill Road, where tools had been stolen from a work truck. We had an attempted theft or vandalism at Holiday Inn Express. The rear window of a car was damaged and pry marks were located on the driver's side door. Stolen car. Two vehicles left at a business on North Main Street for an extended period of time. They're no longer on the premise. They located one of the vehicles that had been reported stolen back at the business, and a current investigation is continuing on that. Couple shopliftings, had a shoplifting and fraudulent return at Kohl's, shoplifting at Walmart and Walgreens West. Page 16, you could see the traffic initiatives on the day squad and the areas of enforcement that they've been focusing on, and those are pretty much those areas that we talked about, those cut-through roads where in our earlier meeting about speed. Pine Orchard, not too much happening in Pine Orchard. It's been pretty quiet, as well as Stony Creek. Our 4 to 12 or our C shift, you can see the statistics on page 22, as well as the officer stats on page 23. We had a car break-in at the YMCA out east. They believe that the keys might have been taken out of a locker. So when you go to these gyms, your best bet is to either lock your locker or keep your keys with you while you're working out. We had a problem with that a couple years ago happening at the gyms. It seems to have died down, but before it picks up again, if people just keep their keys with them when they work out, it'd probably be a lot better. We had a scooter stolen from West Main Street area, Jefferson Road area. Officer Gadawala noticed the scooter coming through a red light at West Main and Jefferson at about 11:15 at night. He turned on his lights to attempt to stop the vehicle. Short distance later, the person dropped the scooter and took off on foot. He was subsequently apprehended. It was a juvenile that was charged. Townhouse Diner, we had an issue where the waitress, a pocketbook that belonged to a waitress, was stolen from behind the register. They were able to capture the suspect on video, and one of our officers immediately identified the suspect, and we were able to make an apprehension on that. A couple drug cases. Officer Andrews stopped a suspicious vehicle on Maple Street where he saw a hand-to-hand transaction being made. An arrest was stopped with that. The person was found to be in possession of crack cocaine and about $1,300 in cash. Officer Andrew also stopped another car on West Main Street. He arrested the person who subsequently was found in possession of Xanax pills in a short plastic straw. So that person was charged. We've had incidents with this person before regarding drug cases. Another drug case, Officer Abley found the person acting suspiciously in the parking lot of the Days Inn, who found them to be in possession of a crack cocaine in a smoking pipe. And they had one arrest shoplifting at Walmart, and 5 warrant services were executed. You can see their traffic enforcement on page 27. Short Beach was pretty much status quo, not too much going on in Short Beach. Page 31, this is just a follow-up from the Detective Division regarding that break-in at the Stop and Go. Pretty much repeating what I said earlier. They have a possible suspect vehicle, Chevy Impala. Let's see. So we had a case at 211 East Main Street where a report of a person being struck by a vehicle in the parking lot. When the officers arrived, they found that 2 people were struck by the same vehicle after a domestic dispute. It appears that the suspect deliberately tried to run over one of them, however, through interviews, but didn't admit or didn't realize striking the second person. He was subsequently arrested. We had a DNA hit on a recovered stolen vehicle that was processed. 2013 Toyota Camry was stolen out of a carport on Linden Avenue back in January of 2018, almost a year ago. So it took quite a while for the DNA. The vehicle was unlocked and had keys in it at the time it was stolen. New Haven Police recovered the vehicle in February. So we will be executing an arrest warrant on that. They did an arrest for risk of injury to a minor for possession of illegal child pornography. And arrest warrant service, they arrested if you're familiar with the case on East Main Street where the bicyclist was struck by the white truck. They recovered the white truck and they made an arrest on that case. So that's our detective division. And our 2018 summary of things that happened as far as crime in Branford. Part 1 crimes were down 13%. Overall, both Part 1 and quality of life crimes decreased from 2017 to 18. We did see some increases in a couple areas, sexual assault, narcotics, and theft from auto. Narcotics showed the greatest increase. Almost all other offenses decreased except auto theft, which remained the same. Total 18 totals compared to the 5-year average. We had the auto theft was about 8%. Decrease of burglary by 40%, shoplifting decreased 15%, vandalism was down 29%, narcotics was abnormally high with an increase of 24%, and traffic crashes went down 1%.
Can I ask you a question about the narcotics?
Sure.
Well, it's sort of an overview that I'd like to know. In 2017, we had, what, like 8 or 10 fatalities from overdoses?
Okay.
What did we have in 18? Was it?
I don't have those statistics right in front of me. But
approximately the same?
I think it went up a little bit.
And we've equipped our officers with Narcan.
Correct.
How's that working? I mean, is it good, bad, and different?
To be quite honest with you, I haven't received any information regarding the Narcan deployment by our officers yet. Am I accurate in saying that?
Yeah, we haven't had any yet.
The issue is that our fire department is usually there on. They come in as medicals, so they dispatch the fire department first. So the fire department is usually there
first on the scene.
So they're doing most of the deployments. The case where we probably will see officers deploying Narcan is if they happen to come across somebody that might need it and the fire department hasn't been notified yet, or secondary exposure to the officer might be the thing. If an officer is investigating an opioid case and gets exposed to fentanyl, heroin, whatever it might be, it might be another officer deploying it on officers that's been exposed.
Have we had that? Have we had officers that have been exposed and blacked out?
Knock on wood, no, not yet. So,
Probably New Haven has, though, right?
I can't answer that. I don't know. So basically, the next page, page 38, is just looking at the same thing in a different way. Just sexual assaults were up from last period. This is so we're up 6% from last period. This is not the year in review. This is the current. Sorry. So we're at the beginning of the year, and you can see that there are slight increases in, like I said, sexual assault. Burglary is down 1 from the last period. Larcenies are up 13 from the last period, and auto theft is up 3 from the last period. Quality of life crimes were up 7% from the last period. Shoplifting is actually down Auto theft is up. Fraud is up from the last period, and that has to do with some of those phone calls and so on. Vandalism down from last period. Narcotics are up from last period, and motor vehicle crashes are down significantly from last period. So page 40, 2018 compared to 2019, it looks like significant increases. However, in larceny, you can see that there's a huge increase, but you're talking about the difference between 1 and 4 cases. Sexual assault is higher because there were no cases from the previous period, and there were this time. And auto theft remained about the same. So this is just a map of page 42, a map of where the theft of autos occurred. And page 43, theft from auto is a map where they occurred, and a quick breakdown of what those were. And page 44 is a breakdown of our shoplifting.
Theft from autos way down though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
Is that because it's winter or?
Maybe the people are locking the cars and not leaving the keys in them.
I doubt that. But
Well,
is
well,
it
it
a winter time thing, or seasonal, or?
It depends upon what period you're talking. Are they up, down, you know, for the year, for 2018, theft from auto was up 8% for the year.
Well, we had a lot this summer.
Yeah, so for the period, the current period, they're down.
Right.
You've got to remember, we're only a couple weeks into the new year, so does the weather have a lot to do when it's yeah, I mean when it's 20 degrees out overnight, there's a high probability that they don't want to stand out in the cold trying to open up car doors.
Chief, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Theft from autos, they occur mostly in the parking areas of,
They happen all over the place. They happen in driveways, they happen in parking areas, they happen all over the place.
and
So
in shopping centers, do you find?
Actually, quite honestly, no. Shopping centers isn't the high area. They're hitting more residential areas, areas
That's
where.
funny, isn't it?
Well, not really.
When you thought of people around in a
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
so it's a crime of opportunity. Okay, when nobody's watching, they're gonna go and do it. Condominium complexes. It's a good smorgasbord of cars that parked in driveways or residential areas. We have video of and what they're doing is they're coming into the neighborhoods in a vehicle. Sometimes often stolen vehicle. There's probably 6 people in the car. 5 of them jump out and they run through the neighborhood looking for unlocked cars. What they'll do is if they find an unlocked car, they'll go through it, and if there's something to steal, they'll steal it. If they happen to find a set of keys in it, well, they're taking the car too. So that's basically what they're doing, and it's very quick, it's very fast, and they're in and out of neighborhoods within moments. So.
Okay.
Can I ask John a question about that? Having just recently come from North Haven, is it more similar to Branford in terms of the way these crimes of opportunity, or is it different?
You're going to put me on the spot with that one, because I did compare our larceny from vehicles, or theft from vehicles, to North Haven. North Haven's experienced a significant increase. They're significantly higher than us. But is that attributed to these groups that were committing these crimes and the frequency and their location to the highways? I don't know, but their numbers are much higher.
Interesting.
It's because you're not there anymore.
No, that's nothing to do with me. But one of the things that is
I
important.
see what you mean.
Larger phones.
In
Yeah.
shopping areas.
Well, it's not really.
They're being watched by others.
Population's about the same.
But I think one of the points to be driven home for the public is that not locking your car, and there are people who will say, why should I lock my car? But there have been cases, not as much in New Haven County, but we're seeing in Lower Fairfield County, where they're actually going out and committing these crimes and getting the door openers or the fobs, and they're going into houses. They're going into occupied houses at 2, 3 in the morning.
Scary.
There's a group that have popped up with that. So if you don't feel the need to lock your car or don't put that emphasis on it, think of your door opener, think of your interior door that's inside your garage. Make sure you lock that, make sure you take those precautions. That is concerning when you see those crimes escalate into occupied dwellings at night. That's a problem. So if you weren't compelled to lock your car, maybe that'll compel you to do it.
They'll get into your house.
Yeah,
Of course, that's a bigger crime too, because there's people in
that's
there.
it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
All right, so that's the ComStat report. Moving on to the federal asset forfeiture report. Currently, we have a balance of $181,539.07. You can see that we have a couple deposits in there, about $10,000, $11,000 of deposits, and we had an expenditure of $124. What you don't see in there, we just got another deposit of, I think it was close to $15,000 the other day, which
From where?
through federal asset forfeiture, through the program, which brings me to the part where we want to spend some money. This has already been approved. The range, as you know, we had a problem with a controller box. It controls the airflow and the HVAC system. Well, we had GGB looked at it, and they thought, in speaking with the company, we did some troubleshooting on it. They thought it was possibly some sort of an actuator that has to do with the ventilation system, which was probably, if it was in fact that, it was a couple $100 repair. It didn't turn out to be that, so what has to be done is I have to get on the agenda for the first selectmen's meeting so that we could look for a sole source, a waiver for a sole source provider. So the next upcoming selectmen meeting, I'll try to get on that. And
Can I ask a question?
Wait.
Sole source. What is sole source?
Doesn't have to go out to bid.
so it doesn't have to go out to bid. If the threshold to go out to bid, I think, is like $12,500. That we could purchase items before it goes out to general bid. The reason why I'm looking for a sole source provider is that if we have another company come in there, all the rest of the parts will be different. Okay,
Oh.
so they'd have to re-engineer the whole system pretty much if I have, and it's going to be way more expensive if we use somebody else. So I'm looking for the selectmen to waive that requirement to put it out to bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is Deputy Chief Mulhern provided us with an opportunity to go and look at a virtual firearms training simulator, if you will. I'll let the deputy explain it to you, what it's about, and yeah.
So years back, the Milford Police Department purchased the system. It was they purchased it, and then they reached out to the region, and you can enter into an agreement. There's a $10,000 upfront cost to join, and then there's some minor maintenance depending on the upgrades as they go through with the software. The system in and of itself with some of the equipment is probably, off the top of my head now, probably a $500,000 system. Years back, when I was in North Haven, we joined right away. And the benefits of this system is you can get quick training, very good training, and what it revolves around is shoot, don't shoot decision making. It's very hard to replicate that. We can try to replicate that with the simunition training, but this adds another layer of an experience which, if you see it for yourself, you understand. They will get the heart rates going. It engages you. It's, I believe, 300 or 280 degrees. It's a completely dark room with a very large sound system. There are actually scenarios in there that one in particular is a movie theater scenario, and if you were in one of these movie theaters, you would think that you really were there. That's how realistic it becomes. You can do 2 officers simultaneously, so they have to communicate and talk. A lot of the scenarios are actual non-shooting scenarios, which is just as important as the shooting scenarios. We want them to get trained to recognize and perceive threats. So I've seen tremendous results with it. I think it's just another add-on on the menu to include in our training regimen. So we're going to take a ride down there and showcase it. They'll showcase it for us. The other good news is because we've switched over our duty weapons to a more industry standard model, we won't have to purchase the weapons to use for this simulator. They're very expensive, but there's plenty of other area departments that have already purchased them, and they've pledged our use without cost. There's some cartridges we have to buy, some gas, but it's not a lot at all. So that's another benefit to switching over.
That's good.
Okay.
But just a question, I mean, obviously, the better trained our officers are, the more guard they have, the safer they are. But one of the things that comes to mind too is that, we see police departments more and more in the news, as much negative as possible or whatever, and none of us like that. But my guess is that the more trained an officer is, the liability that the town, municipality might incur drops, statistically, that this is excellent training for our men, women.
Certainly.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next item is, of course, it's that time of year. We're starting to get into budget season. I'd like to request that the commission forms a budget committee consisting of 2 commissioners.
Rick, you've been on it before, right?
Sure.
Head of it.
Yep, I'd love to do that.
Okay. And
Love to. I like that.
I'd love to.
who else? Who was on it with you before?
Was that?
Yeah.
Oh, John. Okay.
John,
Yeah.
you'd love to too, wouldn't you?
Yes, especially with
go.
you.
Okay, John.
Glad we got that cleared up. All right. Oh, boy. All right, so
How much fun can we have in one place? That's right.
moving on to the personnel report, we still have Officer Carney out on light duty. Hopefully she'll be back to work soon. She's making pretty good progress with her injury. We have a couple letters. Okay, the first one we have is from Dottie Packard, who helps organize the Wreaths Across America. As you know, on December 11th, the convoy of wreaths going down to Arlington Cemetery came through Branford. We had quite a group of people on the sides of the roads as this came through. Also, a very nice celebration at the firehouse. And Dottie writes, we appreciate the Branford Police Department and Branford Fire Department honor guards presenting the colors. The Branford police officers appeared to be easily coordinated and control the traffic on Route 1, and the police officers looked awesome as they stood sharply at attention to welcome the honor convoy. The Branford Police Department went the extra mile to keep all the convoy vehicles and community vehicles safe. Thank you for your tremendous support of Wreaths Across America honor convoy transporting evergreen wreaths from Harrington, Maine to Arlington National Cemetery. Sincerely, Dottie Packer.
Very nice.
Very nice. And the next one I have is in regard to this is interesting in regard to Officer Abley. So this comes from the Juniper Point Association, written by the president, Michelle Blank. So it says, it is with much gratitude that the entire Juniper Point community wishes you and yours a very happy holiday season. As a show of our appreciation for all that you do to keep the community safe and foster a wonderful relationship with Branford, we would like to honor your service with a scholarship, and this is in regard to Officer Abley, in your name for the Branford High School students. As president of our Homeowners Association, I am so proud to work with you in the school to implement this scholarship. The process is pretty straightforward. So it talks about the process. Students who have filled out the FAFSA Common Financial Aid application are qualified to apply for the Officer John Abley Recognition Scholarship. Not bad. I've been a cop for 30 years and I never had a scholarship in my name. But
Well,
John,
that tells you something.
John really, thanks. John really goes the extra mile in the communities that he works in, and he really gets involved in the community. So it goes a little further about the requirements to sign up for a scholarship. As of today, JPA is planning to contribute $500 for your scholarship. We are working to see if we can raise additional funds as well. The high school presents awards at the annual Senior Scholarship Awards Night ceremony, tentatively scheduled for June 5, 2019. And donors are invited to personally present scholarships to students. JPA would like to work with the school and the police department to announce the creation of this scholarship in February, to announce the presentation of the award in June. In light of the tremendous community service you routinely perform above and beyond the call of duty, all of us at Juniper Point say thank you. Thank you not only for the work, but thank you for giving us this opportunity to honor you by further contributing to the community. Warmest regards, Michelle Blank. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yes. I happen to live in the section of town that Officer Abley patrols in. And oftentimes you'll see him talking to neighbors out of the car. Just, he really understands getting to know the neighborhoods, building the trust, and doing community policing. He does a wonderful job of it.
Yeah, he is.
What's that?
Great guy.
It was just addressed to him as a supervisor. That's all. So last but not least, from yours truly, Commissioner Lasella. You just mentioned the fact that we see in the news a lot of bad stuff about cops, and it's nice to hear good things about cops and the good things that they do, and catching a cop doing something good is great. So Commissioner Lasella writes, and this is in regard to Officer Clerkin as well as crossing guard Trent Dillon. Please know that I write this laudatory letter on behalf of Officer Matt Clerkin, Badge 466, and Crossing Guard Trent Dillon, Badge 620, who demonstrated the true persona of the Branford Police Department with dignity and dispatches as they and our entire department exhibited at the Veterans Day Parade. Due to the natural traffic parking considerations that go along with public events, the officers showed a unique attention to parking and moving motorist problems along the parade route. It seems more natural to recognize valor as a part of our officers, yet the everyday protection of peace and tranquility that Officer Clerkin in crossing Guard Dillon, along with the entire component of Branford Police Department personnel monitored, should not be overlooked. Indeed, I and others were so thankful for the decorum of the Branford Police Department in such a peaceful and arduous parade situation. The officers of the Branford Police Department, as always, were tributes to our department on this day in maintaining public safety and management. We should all be most proud of them in our department. Very truly yours, Anthony Lassell.
Very good.
Very good.
Very
Nice letter.
Yeah, what happens is, I think we have to realize the Veterans Day Parade and all parades in Branford now are much larger because of the influx from other towns.
Yeah.
And it's no longer just a small town parade. It's quite a traffic event. And, you know, drivers can be cantankerous when they can't find a space or when they can't get to a certain place and blame the cop and all this. But the way they handle that situation, to me, stood out. I mean, and I think it was a tribute. It was monitored so well, you know.
Well, thank you.
That's
great.
Tribute.
Okay, so the next item on personnel, I'd like to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That little red light comes on, we know.
Okay, we're out of executive session. No decisions have been made, no votes were taken. Moving on to traffic.
All right. Got a few requests for traffic. I can't get through them because it's getting a little late. First item was a request for stop signs at Brockett's Point Road and Rustic Roads. That's down in the Double Beach area, Lampreter's Cove area. We're going to refer that to the town engineer, John Hefferly, because Chief and I looked at it and we need that kind of professional guidance. So that's no action at this time. It'll come back up on next month's agenda. Second item, request for a stop sign on Harbor Street at the intersection with Lanphier. This was a verbal request. We've had similar requests, Maple Street, Pine Orchard Road, where the side traffic coming in does not meet the guidelines that the municipalities are to follow. And so no action on this is being recommended. Third item is request for a no parking sign on the west side of Eads Street between the bank that's on the corner of South Main and Eads Street. Their back parking lot, there's a space, one car can fit in there. It really interferes with the sight line for traffic coming up Eads Street, especially when children are being picked up, dropped off. The recommendation is that there be authorized a no parking sign on the west side of Eads Street at the location I don't take.
And that's like here to corner, right? 40.
No, it's just this space.
One single space.
It's a
One
space
space,
between a
okay.
sidewalk, between
Okay.
a driveway and another driveway. One space, so that's going to be no parking.
So we need to vote on that.
Motion, we need a
I'd like to
motion.
make a motion to approve that no
Second.
parking sign.
Second.
On Eads Street.
on each
All in
street.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Fourth request was a request for stop signs at the intersection of Limewood and Civil Avenues. As all know, that's State Road 146. It's where it's a 90-degree turn. The state, the chief contacted, we referred it, looked at it, and they're saying no action at this time. So that's no action being recommended. The fifth item, request for no parking here to corner on Millwood near the intersection with Cypress. This was a request made by our Public Works Department, largely because when they're plowing, making that corner when there's a car parked on the south side of Millwood, the southwest side of Millwood, it makes it problematic for the plow. So the motion I would like to hear
Okay.
is no parking here to corner on the south side of Millwood next to
So moved.
Cypress. Second for that?
Second.
Aye.
In favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Item 6, request for stop signs along Maple Street. This request, a lot of people unfortunately feel that stop signs are there to control speed. That's what speed limit signs do. Stop signs are there for safety and to control that traffic, if you will. We've done a study there. We did one 2 years ago. We did one in the last week along there, and the side streets just do not even come close to achieving that. So the recommendation of the committee is no action. Number 7, request for the original request came through for a dead end sign, the corner of Berger and Altman. This is down in the Short Beach area. I would look for a motion approving a no outlet sign at that location.
I so moved.
Second.
In favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
And the final request is for no standing sign on Court Street. This also is in Short Beach, where it intersects Short Beach Road. We have no parking signs there, but what we're looking to do is to add to the no parking signs, no standing either, on 3 signs that are on Court Street. So motion would be,
Second.
Yes,
you're going to make the motion,
I'm
Rick?
gonna so move that we add a no standing sign on Court Street. We're in 6.
There'll be 3 of them, okay? And Jill, you're seconding it?
Second, yeah.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. That's it from my report, except just one thing that I wanted you all to know, in case somebody asks. DOT has provided the traffic authority with a traffic study, volume traffic on North Main Street, Route 1, near where the Clancy Funeral Home is. You've probably seen a lot of blasting and leveling there. That's the expectation is there may be some kind of a shopping center or whatever. We have that traffic study, so if you want to see it, you can.
Okay, that
Thank you.
concludes the traffic committee. And report of the chair, there is no report, other than we can rewind and do it again. And the next meeting will be February 11th.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.